not following proper procedures. I understand that this was a politically sensitive case, but at the end of the day, it was a matter of, no, you can't do that. Let's think about it. And at the end of the day, we weren't following all the evidence that we should have.
And that was IRS Special Agent turned whistleblower Joseph Ziegler speaking to Fox about his testimony on the Hunter Biden tax probe. He claims that prosecutors, quote, slow-walked the investigation and that not charging the first son with felony tax charges despite evidence against him was a violation of DOJ policy. Ziegler said that an independent attorney is needed to fully execute the investigation. The White House maintains, meanwhile, the probe is being handled independently by the Justice Department. Joining us now, Florida Republican Congresswoman Cammack. Happy to have you here on this Sunday morning with us here, Congresswoman. I want to get to that in a second, but if we could, I want to start with those recently released, the Form FD 1023, an unclassified FBI document detailing unverified claims. As you all know, I'm just setting up for the audience how Hunter Biden and his father, Joe Biden, allegedly coerced the Burisma CEO to pay the Bidens millions and millions of dollars in exchange for helping to fire the Ukrainian prosecutor investigating Burisma. And of course, these claims have previously been debunked by a U.S. attorney appointed by President Trump, also by President Trump's Justice Department. Attorney General Bill Barr launched and closed the investigation in 2020. So, Congresswoman, tell our audience what new discovery is in Form FD 1023.
Well, it's good to see you, and thanks for having me. You know, that 1023 form, that is verification of a credible source who is reporting, basically a whistleblower or confidential informant coming forward and reporting on this incident. Now, the FBI, of course, had a long time to investigate the claims that were made in this form, and the FBI, they dragged their feet. I would highlight also that the Obama administration had raised concerns about Hunter's involvement with Burisma as Joe Biden was trying to, quote unquote, tackle corruption in Ukraine. So the fact that the Obama administration took issue with this then is reason enough for us to be investigating. And then for Democrats to downplay the importance of this 1023 form, I think, speaks to the two-tiered justice system that we're seeing play out here. We know that there are issues. If it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, it's a duck. And in this case, it's corruption.
And then explain the process again to our audience, the process to confirm those allegations.
So with the 1023 form, you have individuals who come forward, in this case, a confidential informant who had worked with the FBI for over a decade, had credibility in the system, was known to provide verifiable evidence. The FBI is supposed to investigate those claims under these forms, but under the classification process, it hadn't come to light except for members of Congress. When Senator Grassley learned about its existence after the FBI denied its existence, then he took it upon himself. It was declassified and released to the public because of the FBI's political leadership and top brass not wanting to investigate this. I think the American people deserve to know when we spent $113 billion on Ukraine aid, whether or not the Bidens are compromised when it comes to officials in Ukraine.
Indeed. And so you, as part of Congress, will help to confirm those allegations, correct?
Absolutely. That's our job. We have a constitutional duty for oversight. And quite frankly, the American people demand it.
Okay, let's get to Hunter Biden in the tax case. He is scheduled to appear before U.S. District Judge Mary Ellen Noreika this week on Wednesday pertaining to his tax-related charges. The Justice Department officials are on record, some of them saying that they might testify after that hearing. So I ask you, Congresswoman, what questions related to the tax charges or Form FD 1023 do you have for those DOJ officials?
Oh, so many. And I don't know if we have enough time to cover it, but let's start with the fact that he had 6 years of not paying his taxes, yet he's only been charged with 2 years of tax evasion. Never mind when his drug charges started, his rap sheet began in 1988, the year that I was born. So this man has 35 years of criminal activity on his record, and yet he lied to folks when he, on his background check, said that he had not been a drug user user, so he was not eligible to own a weapon. He also was, at that point in time, evading his tax payments. So why was he cut such a sweetheart deal on both the gun charge as well as the tax charges? I mean, that right there proves that if your last name is Biden, you are subject to an entirely separate set of rules and laws when it comes to paying your taxes or even following the law. That's the first question. Why did he get such a sweetheart deal when he wasn't eligible given his criminal? That's the number one question that I want to know. And why are the Democrats continuing for cover-up? Why wouldn't they, as they have pushed for 87,000 new IRS agents to go after everyday working class Americans under the guise of everyone should pay their fair share, why aren't they demanding that Hunter Biden and his 20 shell companies pay their fair share?
Yeah, I think you're right. That's a question that many Americans want to know. It seems that people who have means they can evade tax, paying taxes, and other folks are struggling and trying to make ends meet, and they're the ones getting targeted or audited or what have you, and making you know how that goes. But let me move on to something else before I have a little more time with you quickly, because last week you announced the Gainesville Regional Airport has been awarded a $6.3 million grant for infrastructure improvements. So congratulations, how were you able to accomplish this? And do you have advice for Congress on achieving the same level of accomplishments for our nation's infrastructure?
Well, thank you for that. I appreciate it. You know, Florida, the free state, is growing. 1,000 people a day are moving to the Sunshine State. And as such, our infrastructure has to grow and accommodate not just for 5-10 years down the road, but for 50 years down the road plus. And so with this many people coming, our infrastructure needs to be updated. So one of the things that I would encourage my colleagues to focus on is actually investing in real infrastructure. We had an infrastructure deal last Congress that was over $1 trillion, but only 9% of it went to actual infrastructure. We need to focus on our roads, our bridges, our highways, increasing lane capacity, updating our airports. I had 10 airport delays yesterday trying to get home to Florida from D.C. Let's get Secretary Buttigieg back to work, and let's focus on real infrastructure, not so-called infrastructure that is racist or, requiring certain things that have nothing to do with infrastructure.
Computer's going to cut us off, so I'm going to thank you, Congresswoman Cammack, for joining us today, and we will be right back. Thank you.